If I can, I can't get better.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We'll start out with the welcome.
You know, it's gonna be 2 something, so that's what I'm trying to get there. Anybody get there?
Glad you are here in our fair city, and we have.
Hey, today we're supposed to hear from Fred.
We got some nice places to shop. Lovely folks around town. So glad you came. Thank you to CIAD for having it here again. I know it's a rotation kind of thing, but we appreciate it. And thanks for all you do. I had an opportunity to visit with Miss Tricia last week or the week before, and she's helping me get some things done, and y'all know I do. So. Sticking my toes in the water a little bit at a time. So it's nice to have support like that. And from Judge Atkins, but CIAD does a lot for us, and we appreciate it. Glad y'all are here.
Thank you.
Mostly you know me. I'll get a chance to talk here. I'm going to tell you, being a county judge in Houston, I was unloading garbage while ago and loading onto another truck. It's not near so nasty. We are glad y'all are here. As the mayor mentioned, we have Applewood and our Walmart. So Ace Hardware. Great place to go to.
Thank you.
That's there, yeah, how about that? We were glad the first time we got a taste for you, not to tell you. But also has grown substantially for businesses out on the bypass. They still say our population is the same or we're not growing, but if you go at noon, at red light on 425 to 78, there'll be about 20,000 cars come through there. That's according to the counter. And I don't know where all those people come from, so they either go to our community, and we appreciate all the bit of that. And we appreciate y'all being here today. If y'all have any questions or anything, I'm referring to Paige. Y'all can just talk to her. But we're all glad to see you out here today. And thank you, Tricia, Matt, for y'all being here.
Any guests that may be here today to stand and introduce yourself and who you may be with. We'll start over here.
I'm Elizabeth Bowles. I'm with Aristotle, Unified Communications.
Hello, I'm Candace Bellman with the Governor's Office.
Anybody else? Okay. Minutes were enclosed in your packet. For June 10th, we need a motion to approve those minutes. We motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Financial statements also included in your packets. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion second to approve the financial statements. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right. Well, we've introduced Elizabeth. She's going to be speaking. Would you like to speak now?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to let her speak about Aristotle.
I'm going to speak about Aristotle
Stuff.
Yes. Up there, stand here.
Yeah, up there, please. I don't hear very well.
Can everyone hear me okay? So I know some of you I don't know. And nice to meet you. I'm Elizabeth Bowles. I'm the CEO of Aristotle Unified Communications. We're a broadband internet service provider. We're headquartered in Little Rock. You may know about 5 or 6 years ago, we signed a memorandum of understanding with CIAD that we committed to work on bringing broadband to the counties that are served by CIAD, and they're a part of the CIAD Economic Development District. So my company has been focused pretty single-mindedly on bringing money into the Arkansas Delta, not just CI, but throughout. We have won some CAF money. We won $32 million in ARC funding to fund 15 projects in 9 counties, including Monticello, Drew County. Those projects have taken longer than we wanted due to COVID supply chain issues and other things, but we're nearing completion. We're 98% of the way done. So the reason I'm here today is that it came to my attention that the NTIA, which is a federal agency under the Commerce Department, has about $288 million that is for broadband infrastructure. And that application is due on Tuesday of next week. Yay for having a lot of lead time. I have looked at it. We can put it together. But the applicant is actually an entity of the state. So it either has to be the state, a county, a city, CED, or something like that. And so I talked to Patricia this morning and she said, why don't you come down and talk to us about the opportunity, which is what I'd like to do. I believe that we could very easily file a grant that and get it in by Tuesday that would potentially cover Chico, Ashley, the rest of Drew, Jefferson, Lincoln, and possibly Grant counties, and be able to deploy that within a year. To put that in context, the 9 counties that we've deployed under the ARC grant has taken us about 9 months to do. And we would have a year to complete this project. And my proposal would be fiber, get a lot of fiber into these towns. I want to look at bringing fiber into Monticello. I want to look at bringing fiber into Eudora. They may have a little bit there, I don't know, but also Lake Village, but not just those sort of larger cities, but the smaller cities as well, and the smaller towns. Bring some fiber into the towns and then use fixed wireless to expand out into the county so that we could get coverage throughout the county of at least 100 megs down and 20 megs up. That's the plan. I think we can do that. We can definitely do it if the government's going to pay for it. So I'm here basically, I guess, to make a pitch that y'all partner with us so that we can file this grant. And what would be involved on your side would be essentially to, kind of similar to ARC, for those of you who are familiar with that, the county's actually, the state recipient is going to actually receive the funding and distribute it to the partners, which would be us and whoever our subcontractors are, the engineering firms, whoever we're hiring. And you can build into this grant administrative fees for that. So you can build in what it's going to cost you to manage this grant, and the grant will pay for those. And then in addition to that, we're committing to deliver this broadband service, and then y'all are supposed to keep us accountable. That's basically how that works. So the way I would envision this working is, if we agree, is either CAG could be the applicant and the county judges and mayors could sign on, or we could file an application that is actually the county judges filing the application and mayors filing the application on their own, because you can have multiple applicants in a single application. So I know that's a lot. I'd like to take questions. If the timeline wasn't so short, I would have maybe done this presentation slightly differently, but we do have to get it filed Tuesday by 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So
I have a question.
Yes.
If the county or the cities already have participated with y'all, would it be better to go through as county and city, like Monticello and Drew County, or would it be better to go through the CIAD?
It would be better to go through the CIAD, I believe, but actually it doesn't matter. And here's why. What we would have to do is, so where you've received money, federal money or state money, regardless of who the applicant is, you cannot receive these funds. So what we would do is we would pick census blocks, and it is by the block area. And any census block that has one unserved house, you can get money for it. And so if you go look in, say, Eudora, I sort of dug in on their map, they supposedly have 25 free broadband all over the city, but there's a house here, a house there, a house there. And that enables us to file a grant. Monticello is going to have that. There will be holes in our network that we'll be able to say, oh, you know what, these blocks don't have service, and so therefore, and to get to them, we've got to run fiber. You know, to get to McGee, we've got to run fiber. To get to Lacey Liddell or whatever, we've got to run fiber through Monticello to get to Lacey Liddell. And so that's kind of my thinking, is that we would, because we know where the coverage is, and we know where the money has gone, both from what we've gotten through the federal government and CAF, because we are the CAF recipient in this area, what's been awarded through RDOF, which is another federal program, some of which went to us and some of us went to other providers. But most of the blocks in Drew were awarded to us, and we have some others. But we know where those are, and we can avoid those. And we can create a map that essentially avoids where all the funding has been coming in and focus just on the areas that have no federal funding. And therefore, I don't think it really matters who the applicant is in that sense.
So we need to sign on with as the county judge and as the mayors with CF, or?
My understanding is you wouldn't have to. I think the way I would envision, if CAD does this, then she's signing the application, or CAD signing the application. And then there's this area of the grant where it says who we're partnering with this. And that's where y'all will come in. We would like list your names and what your roles and what you're doing to help facilitate this happening. And that's where the county judges and mayors, but you would not necessarily have to sign. If we do it the other way and we say, okay, these 5 county judges are applying for this money, then you would have to sign, and every one of you would have to sign.
And y'all will be right at Nason County.
We will write the grant.
The problem we have in Nason County is Natty is 3, 4 cities, 5 cities have done been serviced with SWIFT. But the rural, there's more people that live in the rural part of the county than it does in town. Natty, how you gonna do that?
So what we're gonna do there is we would talk to you, we would get the information about which cities are served, and we'll carve them out. And so we'll file, for Ashley County, we'll file a grant application that has donut holes where SWIFT's network is, and then we'll partner with SWIFT. We talk to them.
But now we can partner as a county judge, we can sign off on you, REA, 3 different entities can go after this money.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's important. I will tell you that the #1 priority for this grant, the first thing they do is say, did you dot your I's and cross your T's? Once you're through that, the second thing they care about is whether you are serving the maximum number of people in the coverage area. So if we go in and say we're serving 65% of the population of Ashley County, that is going to mean a huge amount to this granting agency, as opposed to saying, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to serve this one community.
And another thing that we got problems with down there is they have, if we go with all this, if we go with Aristotle, say for example, all the counties go together, we go with Aristotle, and you've got all this area. How many technicians you have? That's the problem with SWIFT. They've got 2.
Oh, so I should have said that too. If your area is served, if SWIFT says that they're serving the area, but they're not,
right, and
you have people in your towns that don't have service, you only need 1 person in that census block to not have service, and we can get a grant there. So even if SWIFT says they're covered, you just need 1 person who calls SWIFT and can't get service, and you can get it.
But the problem, another thing is they're hooking it up.
Yep.
But say for example, SWIFT's got, I think they've got Verizon and Fordyce and a few other places, but they've got 2 technicians for all this area.
Yeah. So what?
So how are y'all going to go about if we push for y'all as a county judge? How many technicians are you going to have? Or is my grandyoungest over here haven't got internet to do their homework, but they have to wait on a technician for 2 weeks to get over here? So
okay, there's 2 things there. I'm going to answer the second point first, and the first point second. The second point is we have a 48-hour turnaround window from the point of time. If you're in our coverage area and we can get service to you, we will get back to you the next day and let you know, and we'll schedule a technician. So we try. This network has been in the process of being constructed, and so it's been a lot slower. But our normal service level agreement is a 48-hour turnaround to having your installation scheduled. That's one. The second thing is that we have two ways we're handling that. One, we actually have a partner called the International Services Group, and what they do is they hire independent technicians across the state, and we can do 1,000 installs a month if we need to. We can flex and reduce and flex and reduce. One. The second thing is that once these networks are constructed and we have an initial flood of people who want stuff, and now it's just a regular flow of this person and that person, we will hire people locally and train them locally. We intend to have technicians in every single county within our footprint area. And I believe that their coverage area is supposed to be an hour in any direction from the center. So I don't know that I don't have the top of my mind how far it is corner to corner in Ashley County, but my guess is you would have certainly, and if it's community, city, you would have more than one or two. So the answer is that we're constantly watching demand, and we're able to flex or retract as we need to based on the demand for service. But we don't really have people in our current existing network. We don't really have people that wait weeks for us to get out there, and definitely not in a down emergency, because oftentimes what will happen is if somebody has an outage, they'll get prioritized over an install, which is probably part of what's happening with Swift if they only have 2 people, is that they've got to deal with their network first, and then the folks who want new service second. So we're trying to separate that and have installation teams and maintenance teams so that your installation teams don't get pulled off to do maintenance.
Yeah. Is this the same pot of money that REA is going out?
It is not. This is a whole new pot of money.
Okay. And everybody in their brother's doing that.
Everybody and their brother's going after it, but you know what? I looked at I will tell you that 0 reconnect money came into the state. No, that's the USDA program. Arkansas got no reconnect money in the last grant round. And Arkansas generally gets bypassed a lot. And so I am pretty forceful in trying to make these applications to bring money into the state, because I feel that we pretty much get the short end of the stick. And we all got sort of distracted because of, Arkansas Rural Connect got all that federal money and they dumped it into broadband, which was great and really, really helpful. But the federal programs aren't doing what they ought to be doing down here. So this,
your fiber, you want over.
It depends on where it is. Probably in the rural areas will be over, but in cities we generally go under. We have a fiber to the home network in Hazen and in Clarendon, and that's all underground. And also, depending on where you are in the Delta, sometimes the poles aren't really strong enough and you wouldn't want to put fiber on them because of the moisture causes them to rot a little bit. So we have to make that kind of on a, if it's up to me, I would prefer to go underground, but oftentimes in farming communities, that's not ideal. So it's going to be a community by community, grant by grant sort of analysis when we do the final engineering, whether we go overground or underground. We're going to apply for the money to go underground because that's more expensive. And in that way, we'll have the money to go overground if we need to buy new poles or whatever we have to do to go over.
Man,
yeah.
I'm interested to know if the Shea County is left out of your list. Aristotle is saying that you got 100% coverage over there.
Oh, Deshae? No. I am sorry. I did not mean to leave them off my list. I don't have notes. Okay. In fact, I'm talking to Rick. In fact, Rick and I were talking about Arkansas City. So no, yes, no, 100%. We're all over Deshae because our network does not cover all of Deshae. It covers, it kind of covers in a loop. And Dumas, Arkansas is trying to deny Dumas's grant entirely. And won't let, the state of Arkansas has challenged their grant, says they can't, that they don't qualify, which is not true. So I'm fighting it with the state, but I'll just go over to the feds because I know there are people who don't have service in Dumas that we can serve that city with fiber. I'm positive.
What agency is fighting?
Department. Don't put me on the record. Do not put me on the record. No, it's the Arkansas Broadband Office. The Arkansas Broadband Office is saying that Dumas is served. And in fact, we have applications pending for Forest City, Dumas, and Whitehall. And Whitehall is going to be approved in all likelihood, although I still want to apply for fiber in Whitehall here, and I want to change that grant application. But Forest City and Dumas have both been challenged because they're certain. I dumped a bunch of data on them that may change, but that is the problem with Arkansas Rural Connect is that they're using FCC maps, and so is this grant. But the difference is that with Arkansas's grant program, if it looks served, they say it's served, and then we have to challenge it, and sometimes that's successful, and sometimes that's not. But
if we get this money, it doesn't matter because we'll go around.
Right, this money we don't need the state at all. We just get this money and go. Yeah, and this.
I make a motion that we just go ahead and let the.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion second to turn this over to Sid and let him handle it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
One thing I want you to please explain about the match.
Yes, so so one thing about this grant does not have a matching requirement. Patricia asked me to explain about the match. This grant does not have a matching requirement. However, if we have up to a 10% match, we get extra bonus points. So that's just for you to know. But the match is not supposed to come, but we could say that we're matching with our CAF funding, but that doesn't qualify because it's federal money. So to the extent that we have, and by the way, that match is in kind. So if the county has land, like Whitehall has a bunch of land, Monticello, the city may own land, donating that land or allowing the use of that land for free, the water tanks, whatever that would look like, or poles that are owned by cities or counties, allowing use of that for free, there's a value attached to that, that qualifies for the match. So in-kind services are part of that match. And depending, I mean, if we're looking at trying to file for $30 million, then whatever that is, $3 million in matching funds, we should be able to figure that out. I mean, I think we could probably come up with $3 million across, what is it, 9 counties or 6 covering.
Is Aristotle?
10 counties.
Is Aristotle? I'm just the only way to find out is ask.
Yes.
Is Aristotle going to basically go to the towns? And I don't blame you because you got to make your money back. But what I'm saying is in Drew County, Ashland County, a lot of counties, there's a lot of people. There's more people in Ashland County that live out of towns than they do in town.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and part of why the art grant took us a long time and why we applied for as many grants as we did is because we are serving the counties. We have, like I said, 9 counties. Every one of those counties has a grant with us. Drew was kind of later, so it's only a part of the county, but it's all of, I would say 80% of St. Francis Monroe, Lee, Arkansas, Prairie, Deshay, see who else am I missing? Saline. And anyway, I can't remember them all, but basically, so we basically have these, when I look at this opportunity through Arkansas Rural Connect, let me take a big step back. For those of you who don't know me, I have been doing broadband for a long time, and I have a national reputation. And I was the chair of the Broadband Deployment Advisory Committee, which is an appointed position with the FCC. So I'm very aware of the issues that face rural America. And I made a personal commitment in 2010 when I formed this company out of what was Aristotle.net, the dial-up company. And I formed this company in 2010. I made a personal commitment that I was going to bring broadband to rural Arkansas. And I have not wavered from that commitment. And I resent the fact that a cable company that shall remain nameless got $5 million to serve a city that shall remain nameless, and they will serve that city and the rest of the county is host. I resent it. When we went into Lone Oak County, there was a fiber company that went in and they got a grant for Lone Oak, England, Humnoke, and one other. And that's it. So we went in and said, okay, we'll serve the rest of the county. So we got a grant for the rest of the county. So I am 100% committed to serving the areas that are unserved. And the cities are a means to an end because the cities have population. The cities, it's easier to deploy fiber. The cities can serve as an anchor that gives you the finance to support the stuff that's actually pretty expensive to serve. But for me, this government money, it needs to go where the need is greatest. And that is honestly not in the towns, although the towns need it too. And these towns, if you go on the NTI website and look up this grant, there's a map that shows you what the FCC says is covered. And then there's a map that shows you these actual speed tests done by this third party. It's got a silly name like UNCA. And really silly. But if you look at what UNCA said, there's nobody in Ashley County in 2530. I mean, not the towns either. And so for me, we're throwing all this money out into these areas, but people are getting left out because a provider, and I'm not going to say for a bad reason, maybe they didn't know, but a provider is saying, I serve that area, so don't let anybody else get money here. And that then becomes the gospel that they serve that area. And so no money can go. And we know it's not true.
That's the problem.
We know it's not true.
You got it.
Yeah, so I am personally, as a person, if I was not running this company, I would be doing policy in this area. I mean, I am personally committed, and I believe, and I stand by this, if we can solve this problem in the Arkansas Delta, it can be solved anywhere in the United States of America. And I want Arkansas to be the shining example of how you do this. So yeah, I'm going to serve the county.
So I'd like to make one comment.
Yeah.
You have a wealth of information, and we love it. You have me sitting on the edge of my chair. But time is of essence in this meeting.
I'm done.
So Patricia, you need to tell us how we need to come together, because it makes me anxious when you tell me that I have a deadline of Tuesday at 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would think we need to have some working sessions.
Okay. This is
And
what
she needs to be there.
Yes. This is what I want to get clarification on, and this will be for the minutes for the motion that was just made. So the motion is going to be that Fiat is the applicant for these state those funds. Those funds are
The NTIA Broadband Infrastructure Program Grant.
okay. Aristotle will be the one preparing the application.
Yes.
For how many counties? For which counties? All of 10, yes, 10 county area or select counties?
I am going to defer that answer. I will tell you that we have complete engineering for 6.
Okay.
And I can look at the other 4, and that does include Jefferson.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think actually Chico, Duchesne, Jefferson, Grant,
And
Drew.
I have a question.
That's 6. So Bradley, we've looked at it. We've not done any engineering, but we can. I don't know how, that would be my only hesitation, because we have to file complete engineering in a map. And so those 6, I can say 100%, we've got the engineering and we can do the budget for them. And I will take a look at the other 4.
Okay. Now, at this time, what do you need from us?
I will send you an email, because I don't know if this implicates this spot, the single point of contact, if we have to tell it, I don't know if this is that kind of grant or not that has to go through there. So there's some like administrative things that I'm going to need your help on that I'm not familiar with. And other than that, I just need to understand, I guess, from the partners, what resources they can bring to bear that I could throw into an in-kind match that would help us get to that 10%. Because I'm going to try to go after the maximum. And by the way, if this is more than 30 million, that's just a guideline. It's not a firm rule, but that's what we're going after, yes.
Didn't I hear you say for the incline, come out of town, use like a water tower?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So if you have land, if you have poles, if you have a water tank, if you have a warehouse that we can put equipment in, that's an in-kind. Anything that you can make available to the project, and we can stick a dollar amount on it, even like a person, that's all an in-kind.
Yeah, how long does the in-kind last? I mean, you get to use water tower perpetually for 100 years.
Well, so there's a couple ways to do that. If you're giving it to us, then the value of that's going to depend on what the rent would have been and how long we have a lease on it. We can. 10% of that value. Well, no. So let's say the water tank would be just a round number, $100 a month, and you're going to let us be on it for 10 years. Then that would be $120, well, $1,200 or whatever. That's $120,000. I can't do math that fast. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But if you are saying you're going to have to rent it for $100 a month, we can still put that in the grant, but then it becomes a budget item that the grant pays for, which is the long-term lease. So we can put in a long-term lease on it. My guess is a minimum would be a year for it to qualify as a match. It would be a minimum of a year, because the grant is the project is a 12-month with possible extensions. So it's a 12-month deployment schedule.
We have someone on Zoom who has a question.
Okay, Judge Pruitt, you want to ask your question or comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I just wanted everyone to know that Grant County already has an application ready for this NTIA grant. And so I don't want it to conflict there. I don't want to change directions this late in the game. So I would like to be removed probably from this group effort if possible.
Oh, that's fine with us. I mean, I don't think that matters, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't fit county.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do it with one county. I mean, from our perspective, helping anyone is better than helping no one. So as many counties are interested in participating, we'd like to help, and as many not interested in participating, that's really fine.
Okay. For your in-kind, does it have to be like land or forced labor? Can it be administrative?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's actually pretty broad, and I can send that to you. I can give you the 12 pages that matter. there's like 12 pages in this 45-page document.
Okay, so at this point, I guess you're sending me an email.
Yes.
That I will need to get out to each one of the mayors and county judges.
I think the more people we have supporting it, probably the better, but it's primarily going to be the county judges.
The county judges. And I will also send it out to the mayors as well.
Yep.
With instructions on what you're needing from them.
Yes. Okay. I'll do that. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that if you have in-kind work donated or match of some sort, and it gives y'all points, what kind of points?
They weren't really clear. They didn't really make that clear, but essentially the way they're doing these grants is they're ranking them based on certain priorities. And then once you've gotten right through the priorities, they're going to go through and say, this grant has a match, this one does. So my guess is that if you're head to head with somebody else, and this one has a match and this one doesn't, that's where that would come into play. Because they have several things they go through first before they get to looking at the match.
So are you going to need to identify the in-kind by Tuesday?
I just need to, in just broad categories, but we can talk through that a little bit. I can think about that. If you have a broad category of what it is, we can. I thought I saw a hand over here. No. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your attention and look forward to it.
This time I'll call Patricia to give staff report.
I knew it. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Right. We have been pretty busy. You guys have seen the whole district and staff. But we do have some very exciting news. Infra update for those who don't know that we had a bid opening on our infra railroad rehabilitation project for the segment of rail that is from McGee, Arkansas to the Arkansas-Louisiana state line. And that will be the NL&A track and the FIAC track. In your packets, you will see the bid tab sheets. Is the recommendation in there as well? And the bid.
It's right behind the spreadsheet.
And the bid recommendations. We received 3 bids on this project, and the lowest bidder was Queen City out of Knoxville, Tennessee, with a bid amount of $6,270,029. That was a lot. It's a big number. We tried to do a little negotiation on that number and realized that that is just what the numbers are based on the increased pricing of materials. We've talked to suppliers and ports to see if we can do some adjustments in figures. And it was determined through numerous conversations with the consortium, the engineer, and all those who are connected, and even some board members, that that's where the bid is. The $6,270,029. The goal is to get to the speed of,
Class 2, 25 miles per hour.
there you go, class 2, 25 miles an hour.
The 15-mile-an-hour increase is what it is present. FRA accepts the track.
Who accepted?
FRA. It's called accepted. 10 mile an hour below. Whole corridor is right now, even though section A parts of it are even unusable right now. The rest of it is. But be able to handle, we've got some bridge work that's included in this $6 million, and that'll bring it up. That and all the tile work, the rail work, ballast work, bring it up. FRA class 2, 25 miles an hour.
Okay. So are there any other questions concerning the bid and the recommendation I'm about to make?
I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have that grant for that?
Yes, don't forget we have that infra grant for $10.5 million, $10.5 million that we're going to use for this project. The $6 million will come out of the grant dollars. The total project is actually 21 million. And the matching dollars is coming from our consortium members in Louisiana. They have some local funds of more than $10 million that is matching this, but their funds are being used in Louisiana. And we're able to use the grant dollars here in Arkansas.
And NLA is contributing.
NLNA is contributing 300,000 of their own dollars towards this project.
What's your recommendation?
Okay. Our recommendation is that the board approve us entering into a contractual agreement with Queen City Railroad Construction out of Knoxville, Tennessee, for the amount of $6,270,029 for the rail rehab of segment A and segment B.
So with that recommendation, we need a motion to move forward.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay. Thank you. The next recommendation I have or request is we have an engineering agreement with HDR. Actually, we're the ones who prepared the application for us. So we was the infra application we got funded. And they also are the consulting engineer that is managing this project as well. We have a engineering contract currently with them to do the environmental and some engineering work on the segment A and segment B. Now we're getting prepared to do the design and engineering work on segment C and segment D. And we were doing this in phases. So the increased work, and all of this is coming out of the grant, okay? The current contract is for $122,400, and that's for environmental and engineering. The amendment to this contract is $1,614,000 $476. And that would include the design and contractual work for segment C and D, and the continued construction of observation and any other work required under segment A and segment B. So that is my request to amend the contract to that amount, which will have a total contract amount of $1,736,876 total, and that is coming out of the grant.
So you've heard the recommendation. We need a motion to approve.
I make it.
A motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
In your activities report, we had a narrative in there about a project that UALR, Institute for Economic Development, and Arkansas State University Delta Center, they received some funds from U.S. Department of Commerce to document the impact of COVID-19 on the state of Arkansas. And what they've been doing is gathering up data for the entire state of Arkansas, utilizing the Arkansas Planning District. CED is one of those. To gather up data that will be very important to your particular regions. They have scheduled some virtual workshops throughout the area. First, they were scheduled for face-to-face, but since the uptick in COVID numbers, they have switched these over to virtual workshops, where we're going to be inviting all of you to attend if possible. And each one of these workshops will have its own specific subject of focus. CED's workshop is going to be September 30th, and I will send this information out to you. And its focus will be on the impact COVID has had on healthcare. There will also be some information about resources and possible training opportunities. There are going to be other workshops, and they're going to focus on subjects such as small business, education, leisure, recreation, those types of things. And we can get you a list of all those, but they're going to be specifically focused to certain subject matters that are beneficial to your region. As soon as I get the information and the topics on what those focuses are, I will send that out to you. And we also have and you will see it in your activities report, a website where you can go on to COVIDRecoveryUAEDI.com, where you can go on and gather up real-time information, data on the impact that COVID has had in particular areas. And you can use that to just give your visual of what's going on, and use that information to possibly get maybe other funding or other things that you're needing, or just talking points. But I will get that information out to you as soon as I get it. Right now, I'm going to call on Ricky Works to give us a report on what we're doing in grants right now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It has been a couple on the grants part. We're working on some park grants, and we have completed all the site visits. We've got the application completed. We've done a little bit on a couple of them, and we'll have those by the 25th of this month. We're also in process, and I think we've got all but one second public hearing scheduled for the COVID hospital rooms. These are something that has to be done by September 1st. The meeting or talking to the judges to get that set up. We'll get those things set up and request for payments in, and we'll get all that money in, and we'll have those closed out pretty soon. We also were notified that Douglas and Montrose have been funded for some general assistance grants. We are in the process now of securing the engineer and working on the environmental issues. Those, I think, both for some water and wastewater grants. And check this morning, as ABC, we were notified back in the spring that they were going to have a second round of general assistance. I talked to ABC this morning. That is still on. They are due by October the 15th. If you need anything, you have a general assistance grant, get a hold of us as soon as you can. We need to get started on that. We've got a couple of months, but it takes a couple of months to do the grant and we get through all of the steps. We also found out that EDA has 60 funding opportunities, and they're working with state and ARPA to distribute this money. There's still not a lot of detail out on that, but we're finding out what we can as we can. We'll keep you notified. We've also got a couple of DRA grants in. I think everything's ready. They're ready. They should be funded, but everything with DRA is on hold right now because they do not have a federal co-chair. And as soon as one's appointed and he gets feet on the ground, we think these two grants will be funded. And we've also been approved of ADEM, Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, for 2 mitigation grants. Well, we've received permission to apply for those 2 grants. Let me put it that way. And we are starting that process. What are they? Well, mitigation.
Hazard mitigation plan.
Disaster mitigation plan. Anything that has to do with the so you have a plan. We're all close.
I'm just wondering about ADM.
Can I address the mitigation plan? Please. To explain it to you. In 2000, it was passed that each county, city, state had to have a FEMA-approved mitigation plan so they could qualify for FEMA money, such as now it used to be a PDM, pre-disaster mitigation. Now it's considered GRIT. They also have the hazard mitigation grant program, and for your firefighters, you don't have to have that grant. But this is where you're building your schools, your safe rooms for your schools, and it's where you're taking care of a lot of your storm drainage. If you don't have that plan, you can't apply for money through FEMA.
Which are the 2 counties?
We are working with Deshae and Bradley on updating their mitigation plans.
Perfect.
How often do you have to update the mitigation plan?
Every 5 years.
Okay. I think we updated ours in 2019.
Yeah, when they announce the notice of intent, then it's time to put it in so you can get it done.
It's a county.
Can't hear you.
There's a grant opportunity sheet in your folder. If you want to apply for these grants, look out on what the right one is. If you have any questions about it, give us a call, y'all.
I do have a question. Yeah. For the mitigation grant for flooding, do we have to go through the county for that?
Say that again on there.
For a city to want to apply for grant money for the mitigation grant, do we go through the county judge or?
It's best to apply county-wide because that way when the county applies, the cities and the school districts are combined in that one plan. It ends up being cheaper on everybody.
But everything that we did with the mitigation plan for our flooding that we've had through FEMA, we do not qualify because we do not have enough disaster.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're talking about the PA. You're talking about public assistance.
No, ma'am. Mitigation plan. No. Because we went through this for 4 months. And every time that we get FEMA, they kick it out. Kick it out. To give you an example, where he's talking about where his town is, there's a flooding problem they have. And we tried to get money to resolve it. No, you can't have it, because if you go through the county, it has to affect the whole county.
Did you address it in your mitigation plan?
I got to stack papers that tall.
If it is addressed as a mitigation action, it is eligible when hazard mitigation money is available. And
There you go. When it's available.
It is only available when there's a natural disaster. That is when the HMGP, but with the BRIC is every September.
Every September.
Every September. That's usually when, that's an average. Of course, this is August and they just announced it. We have until September the 10th to get a notice of intent.
To resolve just his flooding problem.
It would be his application.
Right. But he'd have to go through us to get it, correct?
No, sir, he does not.
Okay.
He submits his own application as long as he has a resolution saying that he adopted that mitigation plan.
Okay. And all he has to do is adopt the county's mitigation plan, correct?
And that would be in the mitigation plan already. There's a resolution.
Right.
Yeah. He can apply on his own. He does not have to apply under you.
Yeah.
Who do I apply through?
You're gonna, who do you want to talk to or apply to?
Apply to.
You're gonna apply to the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. They have a notice of intent that's available right now.
Oh yeah, Swan. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talk to Swan. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. All right, I want to toot the horn of Dumas and Montrose here for a second, because getting the grant funds is pretty important here in this area, in Southeast. City of Montrose, you are awarded $300,000 in general assistance fund for improvements to your sewer pond that was damaged with a storm that happened, what, a year or two ago? Yes. And Mayor, the City of Dumas was awarded $275,793 for drainage improvement. That's their drainage improvement station for the city. Congratulations. All right.
It was hard work.
It was hard work, but you got it. We stay consistent around here. They are hard to get. Okay, Patrick Irving. Yeah, we can hear you.
Make them be loud.
Yeah, Gary, come on too.
Good afternoon, everybody. You have a detailed report of activities and business services over the past couple of months, but I wanted to do a little bit of a different presentation. And my presentation is inspired by this young lady to my right here, Melody Mosler. When I started sending her my business services reports a couple of months ago, CCing her on, she says, I'm glad to finally find out exactly what you do. So business services, been doing this for about 2 years and about 3 months now. But when I came into business services, of course, the number one thing was to engage businesses, see what resources they needed, see what kind of equipment, different things they needed to run more efficiently. And then from that, working in WIOA workforce development, the registered apprenticeships and different things like that, really engaging employers throughout the 10-county area, seeing what they needed. And so business services is really turning into this department within CED that's kind of touching and impacting everything within the organization, as well as some things outside the organization. So you have a handout that looks like this. It's got business services in the center, and it has a few tentacles coming off from that centerpiece, and it talks about the different impacts that business services have had. And I want to highlight a couple of those. One of the things that business services throughout the state are judged on is the formation of registered apprenticeships. And right now we have one taking place in Eudora, Arkansas, at Superior Uniform Group, where it's an operation and organizational management. It's a multi-generational 2-day-a-week class for entry-level workers and also for workers who have been there for a while. And right now, we started that from a pre-apprenticeship program where we trained 70 people and we retained 37. So that retention rate for those people who are going through that apprenticeship program right now is at 53%. That employer, their retention rate before we started doing this program was at about 30%. So a pretty good improvement. Business services has also been involved in special projects. You see there, we have a grant that we're about to start executing in Pine Bluff through the generator, through some funds that we were able to get for Foundation for the Mid-South, for people who are trying to start businesses. This coursework gives them strategies for writing business plans, how to file for LLCs, things to look for within that first year of organizing a business. We've also applied for a workforce opportunity and rural communities grant for Chico County, where we're trying to rehab the old health department to make it a kind of like a one-stop center for job training, resources in a tri-state area, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Business services has also been involved in the revolving loan fund. I've started to make technical assistance hours available for people who need to be walked through our loan application process, where I sit down and tell them what all documents we need. And we're just looking at a diversity of businesses. We have people who are trying to start daycares in Chico County, and we have people trying to start hamburger joints in Lincoln County. So making those hours available as well. And then we're touching on different partnership, Office of Skills Development, TANF. We're starting to bring a lot of the necessary partners to the table to be able to access different funds, to be able to help people who are trying to go to work, start businesses, and do job training. And I put in pencil right here, maybe Aristotle. So that may be the next partnership. And then business services, those two grants that Director Hargrove just named for Montrose and also for Dumas Business Services was heavily involved in those, assisting compliance with board relations. And also now we're starting to engage so many different industries, IT, manufacturing, beauty and barber. You see them all listed at government daycare, housing, higher education. So when I came into this position, and Patricia interviewed me back in the spring of 2019, she said, Patrick, take business services and make it your baby. Well, I'm happy to report that the baby has said his first words. It's walking and pulling up, and now the baby's getting ready to go to school. So we are beginning to really turn a corner and make an impact in Southeast Arkansas through business services. One last thing, as business services continues to grow and expand and take on different aspects, alert people in your communities about what we offer, revolving loans, job training, different partnerships that we're doing. Just allow them to be able to tap into some of these resources. And there are some communities that I hadn't got to yet, that Ricky hadn't got to yet, but we're coming just as sure as there's a need there. And I did meet one new person today that I hadn't met before, and Mayor Zola Hudson of Alzheimer. Good to meet you today. That's my report.
Yeah, so happy to hear that you have connected with Major Franco, the generator. I would like to know if it's possible for you to reach out to the young lady, Candace, I can't think of her name out of at the UAPB incubator on that revolving loan program.
We already.
And then I see you have a partnership engagement with CR. Can you reach out to her also in reference to that?
Okay.
And then there's somebody else in UAPB that I can't think of her name right now. But. Okay. So I need your support on organizational support on this program.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, that's my presentation, unless we have any other questions.
What's your name?
Patrick Irvin. Patrick Irvin, E-R-V-I-N.
Do you have your card?
I do. I got some back tape.
Thank you, Patrick. Gary, can you give a report on workforce?
Good afternoon. My name's Gary Goggins. I'm the regional manager for the WLA offices in Southeast Arkansas. Excited that we continue to help the people in your communities, especially those people that are low-income families. We're striving to help them, help their children to gain career services and training services. We have several programs that we work with. One of our biggest programs that I don't know if a lot of you are aware of, but is our out-of-school youth program. It's we serve students 16 to 24-year-olds, and I like to think of it as those students that may have graduated high school, maybe a dropout, just hanging out. They're home playing PlayStation or Xbox. They're just not engaged. They're not doing anything really. So we're trying to target that population to try to get them off the couch and into some sort of training, or get them into limited paid work experience. We have a work experience program we do with them for 12 weeks. We can help them go to college. And we also have an adult dislocated worker program where we provide training assistance. We help with tuition. We help with books. We have a lot of supportive services that we can provide to the people of our community that are going to training services like transportation, child care assistance, help with the utilities or rent if they're behind on those areas. So we have a lot of services we provide. We need your help in contacting our office, and so we can get people in to see us. And I think that's one of the things that we're not very well known, that our services. Let me go ahead and write. I want you to write down my phone number, my office phone number. It's 870-619-4803. That'll get you to the Pine Bluff office, and just ask for Gary Goggins, and I can get you to any office in our area that serves your county or your city. So we have been working with a new company, People Shores. They're coming to Pine Bluff, and they're IT information technology company. They're going to be hiring people that have little to no skills and train them to do IT, train them to do things. And we're trying to, hopefully, if everything goes well, we're going to be doing a registered apprenticeship program with them to hire people in our community to do those good paying jobs and things. That's coming soon. So we also are continuing right now to take applications for short-term training like truck driving, CNA nursing. I think, if I'm correct, colleges start next week. I think UAM and the different ones are starting up soon. So now we'll start preparing for the spring semester. So if you have someone that's going to long-term training, just have them get in touch with us, and we'll start helping them get prepared for funding for for the upcoming spring semester. Any questions?
Just spell your last name.
It's Goggans. Unfortunately, I don't have a business card. I may have one or two in my truck if you want to see me after the meeting, but I didn't bring a whole stack of them. If I can get you, just call that number I gave you and I'll get in touch with the right office. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Before I call Shane, I want to bring up something I think I've been talking to you guys about for a while, and I know you're probably sick of hearing me talk about it. But we had a chief elected officials meeting, virtual meeting yesterday to give you an update on the existing USDOL waiver request. For those who, probably everybody is familiar that right now the Southeast area has a monitoring finding that has been mitigated down to $287,066.73 for a issue that was found in program years 2014 and 2015. And we are actually going through a procedure or a process that will allow the area to request for a waiver in order to zero out this fund, this debt. And then we'll be held, you know, everything will be back to normal. In order to get this waiver, make this waiver request, what we have to show is the chief elected officials, and we have 27 in Southeast Arkansas. They must show documentation that demonstrates their individual financial impact in some sort of way for their particular jurisdiction. And some of you have heard this, but some of you have not. And it doesn't have to be connected to the pandemic. It can be connected to a disaster, a flooding, some sort of unexpected infrastructure issue that was not currently in your budget. I have actually received documentation of this from 13 of our 27 chief elected officials. What I have been doing for the past maybe 2 months is been in communication with the state ADWS on a weekly basis to discuss how we're going about this process. And one thing I asked of them, especially now with what's going on with ARPA, is that if we can utiliise the documentation for our communities using the lost revenue calculation that many of our communities are going to use for this ARPA money, okay? This is a calculation that was created and is acceptable with the U.S. Department of Treasury. And I figure if it's acceptable for them as a determination of lost revenue, then it should be acceptable for DOL as well. So if we could get that documentation into them or show your lost revenue of that, then I would package that up, send it to them, and hopefully that will help out or even work. DOL is trying to get all the information in and close this monitoring finding out by the end of the month. So the reason why I'm coming to you today is I'm requesting you to give me whatever information you have, or even that information, to us as soon as possible. We will accept whatever it is, package it up, and send it to the state. The communities that have submitted so far, Bradley County, Cleveland County, DeWitt, Dumas, Eudora, Grant County, McGee, Monticello, Pine Bluff, Sheridan, Star City, Stuttgart, and Warren. Those are the ones I have received so far. So if you haven't submitted your information, I am making this request today to please get that information to us. The state has been very helpful in us trying to figure out ways what we can do to pull all this together and get it to DOL, because they want us to have this this wave as well, you know. But it's going to take everyone's effort to do so, and we're going to submit whatever we have. Yes.
Is that a form to submit it on?
No, I will send out again an email that is just a cover letter that just states what it is that you're including, what attachment. And it doesn't have to be any kind of form letter. It can be like a budget comparison. It can be invoices. It can be minutes of your meeting. It can be any kind. So if you have layoffs, if you say at a meeting you discuss, we had a major water leak that needed to be repaired at this amount of money.
You had three.
Yeah.
You had new lighting structure. I found.
Yeah. Those are the things that they're looking for. Like I said, every jurisdiction is different. So that's why we can't do like a blanket thing of saying that everybody had the same issue, because that's not the case. But whatever information we can get, we'll really appreciate it and get it to the state. And just email it to us, that'll work. Okay? That being said, I'm gonna call on Shane to talk a little bit more about ARPA.
All right, real quick update on ARPA. Appreciate everyone that come out a couple of weeks ago for our August 3rd meeting. We had a little over 40 representing our county and communities for that meeting with Karen Curry. At this time, every one of our communities should have received your first allotment. Second will come in a year. During this time, you're wondering, what do we need to be doing? You need to be preparing your plans for the use and your projects, working with your various city leaders, your department heads, the areas that are qualifying factors, your big umbrellas, water, sewer, broadband, looking at your budgets and preparing those projects. Make a wish list, okay? We can go through that wish list and determine eligibility and go from there. Next, an extremely important factor is begin the process of calculating your lost revenue, okay? Municipal League website has worksheets on how to do this, and to expedite this process, I've reached out to the Municipal League and I've asked them to conduct a webinar on how each community can go through the lost revenue process, and they have agreed to do this. It will be done on August the 24th at 2 p.m. We're putting together the particulars. They are going to select 12 cities from Southeast to participate in this, okay? Let your city clerk, treasurers, your finance department know that this is coming. I'm hoping, I've got my fingers crossed on which 12 they'll select, but I left that at their discretion. But they will let me know. We will send out the emails on the cities that are selected. They will ask you for some documents up front. That way you'll be prepared, and they will walk you through step by step on how to calculate lost revenue. They will compile all of that into a video. Then that video will be released that someone can set down, pencil and paper, and calculate lost revenue, okay? Now, when you're working on your projects, if you got projects that you know qualify, you need to begin the process of procurement. Keep in mind that all of your projects, county and city levels, must follow state procurement guidelines, okay? If you've got to get 3 quotes, you get 3 quotes. If you've got to put it out for bid, you treat it just like you would a construction project that's coming out of your general fund. But here's 2 caveats that you've got to follow because this is federal money. Number 1, clear them through the SAM. Okay, they've got to clear through that clearinghouse. Okay, and then you also have to include the documentation for minority-owned businesses and things like that. So you treat it with those federal aspects. All right. You can continue at this time to participate in the weekly Zoom calls that the Municipal League does. They do this every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Just get on their website. There's a link, or you can email Karen and she'll send you the link. The Municipal League is working right now on procurement guidelines that we can pass on to you cities and counties if you so choose to procure the services of the economic district to help you facilitate your ARPA funds. I'm hoping to have those in hand within the next couple of weeks that I can send out. Once we get past the August 24th webinar, my next project is to put together a workshop for our communities in Southeast with a population of 500 or less. I kind of want to get together with our smaller communities and in a setting like this, roundtable type deal, to talk about your money, to talk about your projects, talk about what you're eligible for and the things you can do, okay? Because of those limited funds, there are some creative aspects that we can do so you can use that money, okay? So be looking for that later time down the road. We're still good. No hurries, no rush right now. We don't have to get ahead of ourselves. Communities, your first reporting date isn't until October the 29th. You've got to do it before Halloween. Halloween's on a weekend, so it'll fall that Friday the 29th. So you're in good shape, okay? Couple of questions, anything real quick on ARPA? You got my number. If you have a question, you have a concern, just like Judge Ball had one, hey, what about this? I will do my best to bird dog the answer for you. If I don't have it, I will find you an answer. Okay? All right. Thank you, folks.
And time.
The executive and finance committee met on the 29th of July. We have some recommendations that we voted on.
We can't hear you, Mac.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mac. My bad.
You got it. That's right. The executive and finance committees met on July 29th, and we have some recommendations that need to be voted on. And I'm gonna give them all at the same time. We can vote on all of them. If y'all choose, you want to do them separately, that we'll go back and do it that way. The committees are recommending that the Friday Eldridge Park Law Firm of Little Rock as CAD's railroad attorney and to enter into an agreement after staff and negotiated rate pay. Number one. The second one is approved.
You're going to have to speak louder. I get this competition behind you quiet.
Let's be quiet, okay? I don't know who the competition is. I'll try to be louder too. Thank you, ma'am. Did you hear the first recommendation? I need to repeat that. Friday Eldridge. Okay, the second recommendation is committees need to approve CAD to enter into a partnership agreement with the generator and Pine Bluff to provide entrepreneurial training for existing and future small business owners. Training will be funded by a $15,000 grant to CAD received from the Foundation of Mid-South. Next recommendation, committee approved the executive director to make necessary staff changes that remain within the existing approved budget totals. I need a motion to approve these recommendations. So moved. We have a motion.
Second.
Second, any questions?
Do we have discussion? What are we, and I think it's like, what are we changing on staff?
Would you like to explain that?
Yes, I'll go ahead and go okay. Okay, yes. Okay, over the past couple of months, we've had a good few staff changes. The state is really taking a lot of my staff members away from me. So, you know how hard it is to find employees. So what I've been doing is looking within the district itself. We have a lot of great human resources here within the district. We have staff who can do multiple things and have been doing multiple things since some of those people are no longer working for the district. And this is about combining some of those positions where staff, instead of bringing in new people, I can utilize our existing staff to do that. And I can let you know what some of those things are. If, you know, there's a motion on the floor, so I'll let you know after the motion what those things are. Unless you want me to do it now.
Not really good.
Do it now? Okay, all right. Shane Knight is Deputy Director. Peyton Burgess, Director of Administrative Services. A workforce employee, Amber Simpson, Assistant WIOA Regional Manager, and Tracy Lawson, Grants Administrator.
Are you going to find wages?
I'm just making some small increases. Yes, making small increases with those additional staff members in their salaries. But overall, there will be a major savings in the salary line item.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Okay. In light of that as well, you have seen this young lady around here, Karen Barlow.
With a big mouth.
Okay. Karen actually used to work for West Central out of Hot Springs. She is retired now. And she has been working in grants administration before I came to this district, actually. Yeah. And she's working as a consultant. She has assisted us in some things. And she, as you can hear, she has a wealth of knowledge. What I would like to do is through a RFQ for administrative services process to bring on a grant consultant to assist us in putting together these applications and projects and providing administrative services for our 10 county region. It will be a great help to the district, the district staff. Bringing somebody in grants administration, that is a very specific type of work. And it takes a while for someone to get trained to the level where we would need them to be not so much as an expert, but very beneficial to you. So I would like to look on to bringing on a qualified grants administrator through the RFQ process at this time.
Is that full time?
It will be on a contractual basis.
How is this individual, what qualifies for pay? Is it through the grant?
It will be through the grant. There will be a assessment of how much the actual grant is going to be. Just like ABC and the other funders do, they give us a certain amount for grants administration, and that person will share in the cost of that. Not 100%, but a certain portion of that. And we will take a certain portion for administrative and other things that we have to do with the grant. And it's on a per project basis. So
yeah, higher percentage on smaller amounts. I get it.
Yeah, okay. That's all. Let's go ahead. Yeah, I need approval.
So we need an approval on that recommendation.
I move that we approve the request for qualification for grant administration services.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Any questions? Any questions, Steve?
I do.
Yes.
You go This young lady right here is going to learning grants. If she was to call you and pick your brain about a few things, could you assist her into becoming very good at grants?
Can I interrupt?
I love to have my brain picked. I love to have my brain picked.
Okay, so we're recommending to move into this position. So that's any questions on that? If not, can I have a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
We have a question back here.
Now, I know we lost, Taylor. Was Taylor ever to get grants? Showered with
Right now, who's working, Haley was 100% grant administration. And then we have somebody who was working between grants and workforce, and that was Ricky. And then we brought on Brian, and he's working in disaster resiliency. I never stopped working in grants. I'm still working in grants. So we are needing that full-time dedicated grants person, because that is a 100% committed thing.
So this position is all meant, you do still in the hire someone to replace Taylor?
We're going to wait and see, because the next person we hire for a grants position, it needs to be someone who's has some qualifications in that. Because what happens is you bring somebody in who does not know anything about it, then you have to utilize others to train them up to get to that point. So this will take care of that. And what I'm hoping is that during that time period, the ones that are on board, like Tracy, what I said before, Tracy Lawson, will become very well versed in it, because technically it takes you about 3 to 5 years to get where you can be very well versed in the grant process from application through administration. It's hard to get that in 2 years. A project usually takes 3 to 5 years to complete.
Thank you. That answered part of what I was hoping you were doing. This is all getting into a rough patch.
Yes. Yes.
We have a motion and second on the floor. If there's no further questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The financial procedures policy has got a recommendation for an update. It's in your packet. We need a motion to approve those positions. In your packet, there should be some recommendations for added. Page 7 and 8 in Appendix B of the financial procedures policy. We need to add that, add to that.
There's some language in there. Okay.
So do we have a motion?
Is the highlighted, is that the new area you added?
Highlighted sections. Yes, it's the highlighted segments in that.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second motion, second. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. We've updated the personnel policy. We need a motion and second to approve the new policy.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion. Second. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Is there any other business that y'all would need to bring up? If not, any representatives that would like to give any updates, staff people?
My name is Larry Selby. I'm with the Shelby First Assault for Congressman Rick Crawford. No
really have an update or anything, but if y'all want to come by and see me, I do have my business card in case y'all would be reasonable.
Candace, anything from the governor's office?
I would just ditto what the governor said. I've walked around and spoken. It's good to see everyone again, and the governor sends his regards. Please see me after the meeting if you'd like to discuss any issues. But you may have noticed that recently I have sent out emails to resume our monthly Zoom meetings so that we can keep you all connected to the state of Arkansas, to Governor Hutchinson. So please respond to those emails if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you in September. Thank you.
Thank you. The unemployment statistics for our district are included in your board folders. We've also have a next meeting scheduled for October the 14th at the Douglas Community Center. If there's no further business, then motion to adjourn.
Oh, no. Yeah, don't you move. Y'all stay right in them seats. Don't y'all get up.
Don't go anywhere.
Yep. All right, Judge. No, we're gonna peek. We're moving.